Welcome to another exercise and project in world building, themed around establishing civilizations. Before watching this video, remember to carry out the discussion, both on Micah's server and the comment section, as only comments promoting blasphemy against the Lord shall be taken down. Now let's get on with the video. Now, I'll start this video with a question. What type of civilization do you want to make? If your civilization is entirely realistic, there are plenty of other YouTube channels for you to watch. My top recommendations are World Building Notes and Bibleridian, as their work on the subject of realism is quite impressive. They are pretty big channels when it comes to world building and deserve all of the love and attention that they currently get. The one piece of advice I can give is that world building this particular civilization will be incredibly difficult and will take up the entirety of your world building dedicated to this subject. However, realism is not what world building has to be about. I would like you to consider a trip to the vast deserts of Hammerfell. Throughout this trip, you'll notice its people and culture filled with swashbuckling pirates, desert nomads, and probably shawarma. Visiting this land, you can truly feel like you're in Hollywood's version of the Middle East, but your adventures don't have to stop there. There are also some legitimate Islamic influences. For example, the conflict between the crowns and forebears is very similar to the conflict between the Sunni and Shia in Islam, with both sides even having vast religious differences. However, true similarity between Hammerfell and the Islamic world cannot be found. In reality, what makes Hammerfell special is its ability to diverge from traditional Islamic civilization. Yes, they wear turbans and have snake charmers, but their history is more akin to a combination of Spartan, Japanese, and European history rather than anything else. These people pride themselves on conquest, just like various Islamic nations. But rather than integrating conquered territories into the fold, they conquered because they were strong and their opponents were weak. They also worship a pantheon of gods, one which would upset Islam as that religion is supposedly monotheistic, even if I have to put that in quotation marks. Because of this, you don't have to replicate real-world civilizations or create a new civilization out of your own will. You can simply take in various elements of real-life civilizations. Here, I shall be creating two civilizations in this video, one being the Empire of the Eternal Covenant and the other nation being the Celestial Federation, describing the method in which I create them in detail. First of all, we can take a look at a primary inspiration for each civilization. Generally, I like to choose multiple inspirations to give each civilization a general basis for their origin while picking a primary one as a ground I can stand on. Another thing is this: the aesthetic does not have to be the primary inspiration. Now, let's put that into practice. I shall base the Empire of the Eternal Covenant on the Holy Roman Empire and its interesting history, basing its primary aesthetic off of Solomonic Israel, the Ottoman Empire, and the Zulu warriors. For the Celestial Federation, the primary inspiration shall be ancient Greece, Rome, and Carthage, though its predominant aesthetic shall be that of China. Now beyond this, I'd say that a civilization should have 2 or 3 contrasting elements that form the core identity of a civilization. For example, Western civilization has the contrast between the warrior king and the peaceful monastic, with the latter introduction of the man of science. Meanwhile, Eastern civilization is based on a conflict between the rigid Confucian bureaucracy and the Buddhist monk who wants to escape from that, while postmodern civilization is based on the conflict between the wealthy venture capitalist and the woke social justice activist. What members of these civilizations often don't realize is that one element needs the other to survive. The warrior king needs the monastic priest to justify his rule, and the priest needs the king to protect him from invaders. The rigid Confucian bureaucracy remains less spiritual, simply because those who are spiritual become monastics, with the bureaucracy often serving the interests of these monastics by granting them luxuries. This is similar to postmodern civilization, with the businessmen funding the woke activists who often push the businessmen's agenda. Putting this into practice within my civilizations, the Empire of the Eternal Covenant is based on a harmonious conflict between the warrior kings and humble priests, though I'll add an additional layer to it: alchemists. These alchemists are not scientists like in the West, but rather poets who weave together magical power out of thin air. Meanwhile, the Celestial Federation's main harmonious conflict is between the wealthy merchant and stately bureaucrat, with a similar force of esotericism to the alchemists in the West. Now, the final thing I shall have is the ultimate goal of a civilization. For example, America's ultimate goal is to protect its freedom from external invasions. Dynastic China's ultimate goal was to maintain and secure the mandate of heaven. The West's ultimate goal was to uplift humanity to God, and Islam's ultimate goal was similar in that regard. For the goals of each civilization, the Empire of the Eternal Covenant's ultimate goal is to serve God, similar to the Western and Islamic world, while the Celestial Federation's ultimate goal is to secure the eternal mandate of its civilized nature and spread it throughout the world. Now, this provides a basic template for further development, but one that can use refinement. I shall put this all into practice by providing a mystical description of each civilization, going into its raw essence.
Let us start with the Celestial Federation, and there's no better way to start than the port of Atalcor. The port of Atalcor is one of the most bustling ports in the world, home to thousands of cultures and peoples, but all united under the Federation's light rule. The great architect Lin Biao once said that a pure city must be founded on noble virtues and that the people must be the sovereign lords of the nation. Biao's words remain strong within the world, as the people of our Celestial Federation have taken in these ideals. By the people, he means the Kitsa, the concept of a people that have applied proper virtues towards greater principles that he established. Look upon this port and tell me if it is not to your liking. If the views of Biao have not created the most expansive and beautiful civilization in the world. We are a democracy, one in which all citizens, whether bureaucrats, soldiers or merchants, have equal say within our nation. Sure, we have a Dahungli, a consul who is in charge of foreign affairs, but his role is more of a night watchman than a legitimate ruler. Still, we protect him with all we have, upholding him to the virtues of piety that guide the nation. Every policy done, every action committed, represents the advancement of our civilization in establishing an eternal mandate, one whose goal is to spread the power and philosophy of our civilization far and wide, so that we may be the predominant power in the world.
Meanwhile, the Empire of the Eternal Covenant's capital, Okral, is similar in its glory, this time in the middle of the Eurasian highlands. Our people are united by a commitment to God, for He is eternal in His glories. This means that we must stand vigilant and fight against whatever heresies may emerge. This has established a very militaristic society, but one that's worth it in a pursuit to advance our righteous pursuit to the rest of the world. We ultimately belong to a higher plane of existence, one shrouded in the ideals of eternal communion with the Lord, and from the Desoktov spearmen to the Legion of Almak, the Empire's military is unrivaled. This military functions as the enforcers of God's will as we expand and encroach upon sinful nations who dare resist the imminent force of the Divine Covenant and its spiritual greatness. However, do not mistake our Empire's militarism for mindlessness. Within our Empire are the alchemist practitioners of an ancient and divine source of magic that have created the greatest artwork in all of human history. These alchemists have used their knowledge of hidden arts to create vast works of poetry in thin air, but their work is controversial. Occasionally, they will create vast symphonies to benefit our nation and enforce our values, though sometimes their art can be a bit satanic. Such satanic artwork includes a commitment to degeneracy and atheistic values, those that must be destroyed by any civilized nation. This is why we treat all of our alchemists with caution, as those alchemists who are legitimately sinful have the power to throw our entire civilization into the dust.
I hope you enjoyed my exploration and creation of two civilizations. Remember, be an artist, not a nerd, and the Lord is the divine source of creation. He who is beyond all, the honored, blessed, great, most spiritual, most creative, most noteworthy, and most loving. Amen.